Hall of Fame committee for nominating and selecting me for this award. It's quite an honor to be here tonight with all of you. I also want to thank the Summit County USBC, the Akron WBA, my Reliator and Donnie Foch and all my ladies, and the TNBA for everything that they've done and all the great events that they've provided and leadership that they've provided for my entire bowling career. And I also want to take time to congratulate Gwen and Rocky and Ed and Julie, and here we go. So, you know, a lot of questions that I get. I'm a nurse, so when people ask what I do for fun and I tell them bowl, they're like, "Oh, wow, you bowl? How long have you been bowling?" So my answer is always the same. It's, well, since I can walk. I mean, I don't ever remember a time where I wasn't bowling, because most of you know I was raised by the most legendary lady bowler of our time, Teresa Morris Spiegel. So I had no choice but to be bowling, and I think it was intended for me to be bowling, to be born into a bowling family. So, you know, my mom raised me along with the fine folks at Colonial Village Lanes. They raised me as well. Spent a lot of time growing up there, and I'd like to thank Rick Davis for the wittiness that he did pass on to me. So I was thinking of some stories that would go along to make this a little more interesting. And the first thing that I can remember, going to Colonial Village on Saturday mornings, my grandpa, my poppy, he would take me every Saturday faithfully there. You know, I'd have French fry grease on my fingers, and I was worried about playing games and getting done. And you know, in between shots I came up and he said, "Amanda, you know, stop throwing it in the gutter. I have to pay for those." So, you know, I didn't ask for clarification, and I have carried that with me for many years, thinking that that's how bowling worked. If you went in and you got a good score, you didn't have to pay. So I really took that to heart in all of my career. So really, you know, get your money's worth when you go bowling and fill every single frame and don't give up. So, you know, thank you to my poppy, God rest his soul. I know he'd be proud of me looking down today. You know, so growing up with such a legendary mom, of course I had a legendary extended family that I grew up watching, that I just thought was normal. Like, one day I'll be as good as Donna Myers and Debbie Bennett. I just know I will, because I get to be around them all the time. You know, when I grew up, there was no high school bowling. I'm probably the last of that generation. So it was what we did when we were 17. We went adult. And my good friend Nikki Egan is in here tonight. We grew up, there weren't many girls bowling, so we bowled with the boys. You know, we got beat all the time by Eric Emerson and Spank Kabaski, but we didn't think anything of it because we beat them sometimes too. So we just have that mentality, and we went into adult bowling thinking, you know, that this is gonna be great. So I did go into adult bowling in the Wednesday Night Ladies Classic League, and wow, there were a lot of people way better than me and Nikki, weren't there? Yeah, we really learned a lot. There was bowling with the people that we looked up to, you know, wondering, you know, we want to get our name on the alley cat on the front page. You know, that was the big thing, you know, going in and getting that new alley cat and seeing your picture on there. That was, you know, it was so competitive, and it was, you know, bowling was so great then. And that's where I learned a couple things. You know, I watched my mom bowl with the men all the time, bowl in the Budweiser League of Masters, which I needed to go to every Monday night, though the dean of students at Hoban couldn't understand why I couldn't make it to school on Tuesday morning, but I turned out okay. So, you know, I loved going there, watching my mom beat up on the boys. She even, in the last few years, had an all-girls team with hot pink skirts and purple shirts, and they were the Magic City Lanes team, and I was so proud of them, and I couldn't wait to be there myself. So, you know, I went adult when I was 17, so I grew up in the Classic League, and this is where I met another big lesson. One of my mentors, Donna Myers, God love her so much, she would tell me, you know, kid, let your bowling speak for itself. You gotta let your bowling speak for itself. So I really try to practice that. You know, you wouldn't know if you bowled with me. You wouldn't know if I just shot 300 or 160, because I try to keep that, you know, unless I'm slapping something out. I learned that from you too, Donna. I don't jump over any ball returns yet. So, you know, keeping that, letting it speak for yourself, and not coming over and scoping scores out and telling everyone that you had a 259 game. You know, they're gonna notice that you had a 259, and they're gonna come and tell you. So, going along with growing up and bowling against the boys, which I thought was normal, I went to Akron U, and Akron U didn't have a bowling team. Again, this is a theme. I grew up in the wrong time, but at the right time, when I think about it. So I went to Akron U, and we had just enough people to make 2 teams, but there were 2 girls. It was me and Dawn Altimore, and there were some boys, and there were a couple boys that weren't very good, and we were going to make 2 teams, and we were going to pay our own way, and we were going to go to a tournament, and that's what we did. We went to Maple Shades, New Jersey. We drove ourselves. We paid for our entries, and it never occurred to me, who was going to be on what team. So they assumed that Dawn and I were going to be on the B team because we were girls, and I said, oh, no, that's not how this is going to work. We're going to go to the lanes tonight. We're going to go to Laurel Lanes, and we're going to bowl, and whoever has the high score is going to bowl on the A team, and that's what we're going to do. So we went and we bowled. It was a Friday night because the tournament was on a Saturday. So it was open bowling, and the place was packed. And we went and got a lane, and we bowled, and I shot 300. It was the first time I had ever shot 300. Of course, it doesn't count. It was just in practice. But, I was like, well, now what? I'm bowling on the A team. You can't tell me any different now. So, I think growing up, the way that I did helped me get to that point where we're equal in this. I really feel like any bowler can beat any bowler on any given day, and I love that about our sport. And I love that you can do it as soon as you walk, and you can do it until you can barely walk down the lane. So this is one of the reasons that I love bowling. There are so many more. I love all the friendships that I've gained, the travel. I love the smell of a bowling alley. I love new skin, and I love a fresh drilled bowling ball. When Frank comes home from the pro shop, come here and let me smell you. You smell like a bowling ball. So I know it's weird. No. So, this sport that has given so much to me, I've often wondered, what have I given back? What have I done for this sport? My mom was a fantastic coach. I feel like I had to fight for attention sometimes because all the kids wanted her to be behind them. And I know deep down she was my #1 fan, but I don't have a coach's eye. I just don't. Everything that I've done is just natural. So I wondered what can I do to give back. So I did take some time off from bowling, and when I came back, bowling welcomed me just like I had never left, and Coach Ron got me back to where I was before. But what I've done since I've been back is to take to heart and genuinely celebrate everyone's accomplishments in bowling. It has meant so much to me to be a part of such a group of diverse people that I would never be friends with. People that have taken me in and places that I've been and friends that I've met that I lived nowhere near, didn't go to school with. I would have never met you if I wouldn't have been in a bowling center with you. So being that genuinely happy for someone at whatever skill level you are, it brings me so much joy. So my goal for the remainder of my career is to just bring that positive vibe and that positive energy and really celebrating each and one of you for all of your accomplishments, because everyone in here was born to bowl too. And if we can keep that positivity and that genuine happiness going, that's what's going to make bowling continue on and keep growing like it is. So I am so honored to be added to the fantastic names that are on the list. I've been sitting here watching so many people get inducted, and I'm just thrilled that you've selected me to be here today. So thank you all for being here, and